Well, good afternoon, LinkedIn family, and those who are joining us for our webinar today with my good friend Mike Young, the VP at GIX Logistics. Really appreciate you joining us today. I know there's been a little bit of a buzz about this conversation of appointment automation and kind of what the Qued team has been working on and building. And so the fact that you've taken time to come spend a little time with us today is much appreciated. And so I'll do a real quick introduction of myself, allow Mike to introduce himself, and then we'll really kind of get into the meat here, allow you to hear some of the GIX story, some of the experiences that they've been able to have. And then we'll also be able to try to make some time for some Q&A as well as we get through the webinar today. So for those of you who maybe I haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Tom Curee. I serve as the president here at Qued. Our focus is on the appointment scheduling process. So 18 years ago, when I started in this industry, I was scheduling appointments. I tell a lot of people I've just decided I'm going to die in this industry scheduling appointments. It's just the way that I've found myself. So, but what's wild about that process is the way that we scheduled appointments 18 years ago is pretty much exactly the same way that we have been scheduling them today. And so we're really excited to show you, kind of the story that the GIX team has had as we talk about the ability to actually transform this process a little bit. So Mike, if you could maybe give a little bit of background on yourself and kind of what your role there is with the GIX team.
Yeah, Vice President, GIX Logistics, coming up on, I think it's 16 years at GIX, almost 18 years. August will be 18 years, I believe, in the industry. We've just kind of, over the last 10 years, we've really grown. And that's just been by hiring really well and training really well and retaining really well. It's all been organic. So we've gone from about 7 people and $7 million to we're at 86 people and a little over $100 million now. So the growth has been significant, and that's all been organic. It's all been just really good people. So I'm really proud of that. It's been fun. It's been exciting. It's been stressful. But it's all that good kind of stress, like trying to put a giant puzzle together every day. So that's just a little bit about me and us. And I've been fortunate to work for the company that I'm working for and have the opportunities that I've had to push the pedal down and grow and be aggressive in this industry. So
yeah, that's amazing. And even you, when you started in this business, you also spent time scheduling appointments, right?
Yeah, my first 2 years in the industry, I was I guess you could call it like lead dispatch for a pretty decent size 120 truck operation. And appointments have changed, Tom, but it's because we don't have to send faxes anymore. At least I hope you're not having to send faxes anymore. So I remember having to fill out a tender sheet with the handwritten appointment times in and fax it back to my customer, and then they'd add a stop, and the tender sheet would come back over, and we'd have to redo all the appointments and then handwrite them back down and send the fax back over. And it's so we have come, even without Qued's help to that point, we've come a little ways since then. But the giant leap that we've kind of taken with Qued has really been significant. Yeah.
Well, I know we talked about this earlier, and I know some people are going to tune in and they're going to be caught off guard. Mike and I want to make sure you guys all know that these are not virtual wallpapers behind us. We chose the wood wall in my office and the brick wall in his office. I don't know how that happened, but this is real stuff. His stuff is real too.
So, yeah, you can see the corner of the room I'm in.
Yeah, there we go. So again, we appreciate you being here and sharing a little bit about your guys' story and what the GIX team has been able to accomplish. And you guys are based out of Nebraska, right?
Yeah, HQ, or our main office, however you want to phrase it, is based out of Grand Island, Nebraska. And then we've got a operations office in Denton, Texas, and we've got a sales office in Lincoln, Nebraska as well.
Okay, great. Well, we've both been on a number of webinars like this in the past. As you know, most of you may know, I've spent time buying a lot of technology over my last, 18 years in the industry. And so, one of the things that I often run into is you might maybe got a little bit of time just to be able to kind of jump in. Maybe you're only seeing the beginning of this and you don't have the time to kind of wait through everything. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to do a real quick 5 rapid fire questions with Mike about the Qued platform, kind of what we've done here. And these are the most common questions that we get every time that we talk to someone in the industry. When we talk about what we're actually doing in this space, these are the 5 most common questions that we get. And so out of courtesy to you might have a fire you're putting out. You might have something else that's going on. We're going to kind of jump into those real quick, and then we'll dig into more of the meat of the conversation. So, Mike, I trust you are ready for this. I'm going to shoot 5 questions at you. This isn't going to take very long. Then once we get through these, we'll cut into some meat here. So one of the number one questions I typically get from people, Mike, when we get into this, like, people understand appointment scheduling is a complex process. There is a lot of intricacies. There's a lot of decision points in just the process of scheduling an appointment. So one of the things that usually kind of comes out right away for people is they want to ask, is it real? So from your perspective, is it real?
Yeah, it's incredibly real. I mean, anytime somebody says, I'm going to automate that, you always are like, well, yeah, but what pieces or what parts and how much involvement are we going to have, and how many mistakes are going to be made, and how does it make those real time? We spend hours and hours, days and days and days training and coaching and guiding and doing all those things with our people so they make a good decision in the heat of the moment, right?
Yeah.
This appointment or that appointment, what makes it productive, what makes it unproductive, what's legal, what's not legal, all those things. And this is significantly real. It checks all of those boxes.
Awesome. So from your perspective, then, it's real. Is it hard to do?
No, I mean, I could do it. So GIX is pretty blind. I bragged about our people a little bit. I said we hire really well, we train really well, we retain we have really good people. But it is the adoption rate. I mean, if it's hard to do, your adoption rate is going to be really crappy. The adoption rate on this was like instantaneous. So we had folks that were dedicated appointment schedulers, dedicated appointment managers. And we had some other people doing some appointments here and there, and the adoption rate took off. It really has been maybe the most adopted, quickest adopted product we've ever brought on.
Well, and I know, you and I both know this, and those who are watching now probably understand this really well, but user adoption is just such a key component to any piece of technology that you're trying to bring in. It's challenging because you may see a solution and you want to bring that solution to the team, and you may have a great ROI sheet or whatever you may have on that. You say, hey, this is good. This is going to be great. The team's going to love it. But if they don't use it, it's useless. It doesn't matter what you were sold. It doesn't matter what you had in front of you. If the users don't use it, it's trash, right?
Yeah, we all go to these conferences and we get fired up and we see all this new tech stuff and we go, man, we should be doing that. Man, we should be doing that. We should be doing that. And then it's one person or two people coming back from these conferences and saying, this is what we're going to implement. Well, I'm not going to sell Qued as good as Tom can sell Qued. And so when I bring this idea back and I'm talking to the people that have to use it, they're always going to go, yeah, but is it going to work? And if it doesn't, and the real adoption problem happens when it doesn't work out of the box immediately, right? When it's not like, okay, that worked. If it doesn't do that, then it's just a flawed system that your people have to find a workaround around. It's like, well, Mike wants me to implement this, so we're going to implement it, but we really don't like doing it. And so your adoption rate suffers and fails. And that's been the one, I think, the setup, right? Your work with Sammy. Sammy's one of my people, a key player in how Qued came on board for us. I think the setup and the approach and having a lot of T's crossed and a lot of I's dotted before it got handed to the end user was a huge advantage. It wasn't, it went quickly, but it was not rushed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's our approach, especially with anything with automation, we've typically subscribed to the theory that users don't trust what they can't see. And one of the things that we've worked really hard to do is help users see and understand the process really, really well, so that it builds confidence in the process, right? Like if they're confident in what we're doing for them and how we're doing it, then they're going to be better users. And so that kind of answered that next question, which was, is it hard to get your team to use it? Sounds like the answer is no. You've got user adoption. You've no issues there, which has been good. Now, one of the other big questions that we get, the fourth one I would say, is did your tech team have to do a lot to get it up and going? Because that's, how it is. It's like you've got so much time, you've got so many priorities and all these things on the roadmap. From your perspective, was it hard for your tech team to really get this thing up and going for your team?
I mean, no, not only was it not hard for my tech team wasn't really involved. I think we had Adam involved a little bit, maybe with some API help, but beyond that, it wasn't. It was honestly, it was you and Sammy, right? And connecting the dots between statuses and the different fields and everything else that we needed to do. And so it is honestly one of those, which I think more and more tech in our industry is going that way, right? Where it's less like, I got to have my IT director, I got to have my systems admin, I got to have my,
right.
Less and less is happening. It requires those things to happen. And Qued is another good example of a just very simple, clean setup process that, very minimal IT input. And the reason that's valuable, I don't know about for every other brokerage or every other trucking company, but for us, the reason it's valuable is we love them, we have to have them, but they're IT guys and they're not necessarily involved in operations. They're not involved in scheduling an appointment. They don't know every step that goes into it. They don't know why certain things are important. So, Sammy's going to point to something and say, it has to do that. And it has to work this way. Where an IT guy is like, why does that matter? And so to not have to almost bring along your IT group along with explaining to Tom, hey, Tom, this is why we'd like to see it work this way, just made the setup and the connections and all those things so much more quick and simpler and easier. Yeah, it was just it was very simple.
And the fact that your team, understood that well, was huge for us, right? And they've been great supporters in terms of like helping champion the product and help us get better. I often tell people that it is literally a user-led product. So that it's not me and Mike who are making the decision on where this product goes. It's the Sammys of the world who are living in it every single day. They are constantly innovating and bringing these things. And so one of the next questions that I would ask you, and this kind of wrap it up front, is does the Qued solution, does it produce an ROI for the GIX team?
Yeah, and it's instantaneous. That's the crazy part about it. So you are automating the bottleneck of all bottlenecks, in my opinion, right? So like, in my opinion, what should be automated in our industry, again, this is only my opinion, but what should be automated in our industry is all the crap that nobody wants to do. It's all that we have to do it. It's all the task driven, busy work stuff that nobody really enjoys doing. And an appointment doesn't drive value. An appointment itself does not generate revenue. So why not automate that, or automate it to the extent that you can, so that you can take these really talented people that you have and have them be more customer facing or more carrier facing or whatever it might be, and have them actually participate in generating revenue. Because right now they're checking tasks off a list when they're scheduling an appointment, and that's not really driving revenue. So the ROI is not just available time, it's quality. It's the quality of that time being spent. How are you spending it, and what are you doing with the available time that Qued is freed up? And we're just now getting to that point, right? So we've got a couple platforms on board where we're getting into, I don't know if I'm going to share this. It's live. It doesn't matter, right? we're getting into the email automation, which is going to absolutely kill. So we're just getting into that idea of like, how do we go leverage these people's talents more and have them be more impactful towards our top line, which obviously will bleed down to our bottom line. So
and I think one of the things that you and your team have done a phenomenal job is leading that question, right? Because people are going to have questions where they're going to say, whoa, it was taking me 10 minutes to schedule these before. It's done in 2 seconds now.
Mm-hmm.
And their immediate question is going to say, what am I going to do? And I think you guys have done a really nice job of, with your team, championing what they're going to do and how we're going to use their time and how they're going to be able to provide more value. Because look, talent isn't cheap and it's not easy to find. And so when you can find a way to allow existing talent who know your processes, know your business, know your values, like they live in that, you can find the ability to bring them to that next level. They want to go on that journey most of the time, and you want them to go on that journey. And so if we can find ways to bring some automation in that allows them to kind of climb through those experiences, that's huge. It's huge for everyone in that process, right? So I know we kind of went through those 5 rapid fire. Is it real? Yes. Is it hard to do? No. Is it hard to get your team to use it? No. Did your tech team have to do a lot to get it going? No. Does the Qued solution produce an ROI? Yes. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your guys' specific journey, because when we started working with GIX team, you guys were really unique because you had a really great scheduling process. We work and talk to a lot of different companies in the industry. Some of them won't have any process. Some of them will have some form of a process. But you guys had a really detailed, well thought out process for how you guys manage appointments. And so bringing something like Qued into that, like, to me, I'm thinking, man, we got a really good thing. We don't want to mess it up. Right. And so I'm just kind of curious, like, as you kind of brought this forward to the team, how did that go?
Well, yeah. So I think some of it is like going back to adoption and all of that whole idea is, I think that if you were to ask me, if I was the guy sending faxes still and having to manually do the appointments the way we had to do them, I would sit there and go, that's a scary technology to me, because is it going to replace me? What's it going to do? Right. And what we found is that it's not scary. Most of our hires are of a certain age. They're under 30, hovering around 25, 26, 27 years old. And so what we found is, like, technology is a part of their life. That's just always been there, right? Like, I didn't grow up with a cell phone in my pocket when I was, 10 or 11 or 12 years old. And it's just, technology is there to be a tool, just there to be useful, not necessarily there to be something that should be feared or be anxious about. And so that helped with adoption, but it also helped with this idea of, like, well, we can take this and we can kind of overlay it with our current systems. Now, you're right. I'm pretty confident that we were almost as efficient with appointments as we could be without implementing something like Qued to get us more efficient, more effective. There's so much chatter on LinkedIn in our, like, little, and I say little, I mean, there's thousands of people, but relatively it's little kind of logistics and transportation echo chamber, right? Like, we're just in this, like, it's the same people that like my post, and then I'm the same person that likes your post, and on. And one of the general messages that you will see on LinkedIn is that if you take technology and you lay it over the top of a crappy process, it almost just makes that process more crappy.
Absolutely.
Now it's just speeding it up. And for anybody listening or watching, have your process as good as you can get it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but have your process as good as you can get it. And Qued will like, it's like steroids. Qued is like steroids for your process if it's already kind of smoothed out. And so that's what we've experienced. We had this really nice process. We were using statuses. We were using our appointment scheduler. We were doing all the stuff that we should be doing in our TMS, and we laid Qued over the top of it, and it just took off. And that's really why we've been so successful in it, I think, is because of, again, I'm going to give Sammy a ton of credit throughout this session, because her and a couple others that kind of were with her or in front of her, just really had it ironed out. And it was just this constant evolution of our process. And then Qued really came along at the right time when we were probably at our peak, right? When we were able to, we're maxed out. This is as efficient as we're going to get. in scheduling appointments. And then Qued hit and was like, that is exactly what we need to do. That's our next step.
Well, and I remember when we started with you guys, we found things, it's kind of interesting when you set out and you say, hey, look, I'm going to try to solve this. Prasad Galopoli, our CEO, really does a great job of kind of helping us define the sandbox. And I'll never forget out of the gate of the sandbox as a company, we're like, all right, we're going to start really simple. We're going to start with one pick, one stop loads, and they're going to look like this, and they're going to smell like this, and they're going to act like this. And then we started working with you guys, and you guys were like, hey, check out these really cool multi-stop loads that are really complex.
And, just a zillion of them.
And I remember as a team, we were like, we're doing multi-stop, and but in that journey, being able to learn. And I think a lot of people don't understand what that process really looks like what it looks like to schedule an appointment. And so, we use this visual to kind of show people like, this is what is actually happening when a user is going out to schedule an appointment. And so there's times where I get in front of someone on the tech team and they see this and, they hear appointment scheduling and they think, I just go get an appointment. This is really what it looks like. I mean, and this is honestly this doesn't include things like the appointment system is busy, you have to try again later, or the appointments aren't available until June 1st at midnight. And so you got to wait till June 1st at midnight to go schedule the appointment. Like, all these other things. And so users are typically going through a process like this to schedule. And then we find them go through this journey where we bring them to this semi-automated method where literally they're right in the TMS. They select the date, time they want, and they submit it. And it literally fires through, gets the appointment. And we've got customers that have already moved into the full automation where as soon as that stop comes in, it's automatically triggered out. Appointments are confirmed and back in the system. And so, just as a visual, it's so important because your team had that. They knew that process really well, and they were kind of deciding, hey, how do we take it to the next level? And to your point, Sammy and that group, I mean, they were phenomenal to be able to work with on that.
Well, and I'll build on that. So, that process that you just had up. So some of what we've been surprised by with Qued, pleasantly surprised by with Qued, has been like just the access to the next available appointment before we do. So Qued has access to the next available. So let's say we make a request and we make a request for a 7 a.m. That's already booked. Or Qued makes the request for the 7 a.m. That's already booked. Previously, if we would have sent an email or we would have gone into a TMS or we would have gone into whatever the process is, and you're required to go back in and find next available, sometimes you have to wait or you have to send an email or you have to make a request. Due to the API connection, Qued already knows what the next available is. So we might have to wait for the 8:30 a.m. to become available to us through an email to another party, to a live body. But Qued knows, okay, they put in 7, we requested 7, it was rejected. The next available is 8:30, I'm just going to grab it. And so that immediately we're getting access to the next available or next best available. Yep. And then the other part is on some of the platforms, you can't request an appointment too early. Like you can't be so far out because they just won't release appointments, or maybe the PO isn't released. Maybe the PO hits 3 days before you can schedule it. Whatever the time frame is, you can still put the request in and for the date, and Qued will hold it until midnight the day that it can be requested. And then at 12:01, that baby's requested and you're getting access to the right appointment. So yeah, I think that's value that you're adding to my people's day, because it doesn't, cool, the appointment got automated, but how much am I having to follow up on when something doesn't go right? And
right.
You've got so much good logic built into it that it's doing those things for us.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that, does come up where people start asking, like, you have to have really good exception management when you build a product like this. Like that's where a product like this shines. And we're really fortunate. Our customers their exception rate is usually somewhere between 4 to 8% of their appointments come back with an exception. And those exceptions aren't anything you did wrong. They're nothing we did wrong. It just becomes, hey, maybe that date and time wasn't available, or maybe there was a bad PO that we need to get cleared up. any of those things are simple, right? We allow that to go right back to the user, allow them to resolve it. And one of those exceptions that came up was actually from you guys, is through the transit validation check that we built off of the process that you guys had. Can you talk through a little bit like what you guys were doing there and maybe how we assisted there?
Yeah, so we created, so what happens sometimes is, I think that a customer service rep or an appointment rep, they're always going to err on the side of caution a little bit. They're going to be, they want to make sure that I don't want to make it too tight a transit. I don't want to make it too loose a transit. I want to make sure that I'm giving everybody enough time. Well, what was happening was it'd get put in front of a broker, and brokers like, that's no way that's going to happen, or whatever it might be. So brokers are always more critical of an appointment than an appointment scheduler is, it seems like. But which is, it's their money, right?
That's it. Absolutely.
A negotiation with the carrier. So we built a report that would run, I believe it was every hour. I might be wrong on that. It might have been every 2 hours, but we built a report internally that would go and catch exceptions when it came to transit time. And then Sammy or Jess or Cass would review that report and then go and put it back in front of the customer service rep or the appointment scheduler. Hey, you need to go fix these or adjust these appointments. Right. And so what I think the situation that we ran into was it scheduled something too tight, correct?
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Scheduled something too tight. And we brought that to your attention. And I don't know what the time frame was, but quickly and magically, we had a way to catch those things. So that's another huge, point, maybe a little off topic here, but the customer, and which is another revolution I think that is happening in our industry, which is so welcome, is the customer service standpoint. I feel like more and more tech vendors that are entering the market to help transportation companies are these small, nimble teams of people that are content experts on their product. And when we send an email for a suggestion or we request a time to call or chat or talk, if it's not the owner, it is somebody that the owner handpicked and hired. We are experiencing that more and more and more with our tech partners. And you guys are no exception. So
yeah, Carrie on our team, she does a great job leading that. And I know her and Sammy are usually bouncing ideas and thoughts off of each other, which just, right, you continue to build. And that is the collaborative environment that we need in this industry. I think many people have, championed that in some way that has really helped. And it's amazing to see.
I just think like the ticket system is dead, right? Send an email, get a ticket number. I think that format is dead. And if it isn't, and there's still, I guess, maybe a time and place for it, but it just feels like we are moving so much quicker and so much more seamless and so much easier based on just having very quick, concise conversations that can solve a problem. And it helps everybody do their jobs better and do their jobs quicker and be more effective in their roles.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the goal, right? When when you're sitting in your seat and you're evaluating technology, and again, I've done it for many, many years. And so I understand all of the different, things that are coming at you around these decisions and thoughts that are coming in. I think you have to find those partners who are really going to help, not just give you a product that works today, but how's it going to work for me tomorrow and the next day and the next day? And how's that going to evolve? We have customers that will ask us for our roadmap, and I'm like, I'll give you a 3-month roadmap, because what that next customer needs is going to be a part of that roadmap. And so if I gave you a 1 year, I'm getting committed to something that honestly, this is user led. The whole idea is user led. Let's learn from each other. Let's learn how to do this better. And let's try to cut some waste out of this process for the industry. So.
You previously, we only have a little bit of time left, but you previously said that other users are experiencing a 2% to 4% exception rate.
Yeah, so exception rates are usually somewhere between 4% to 8% is where we're at right now. Yeah,
I ran ours, and ours is like, we are running at 99.99755. That's not an exact. That's the number. I had to carry it out just so it wouldn't be 99.99. So it's incredibly accurate. It's incredible. I mean, it just is. Tom is not paying me. I just want everybody to know.
He doesn't even have a hat yet.
No, it doesn't. It's such an it's such a worthwhile product and has helped us in so many ways. Sammy's goal with the addition of email appointment automation is to get 70% of our appointments per week fully automated.
Yeah.
That's the goal. 70%.
Yeah. That's exciting. Well, Mike, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today and for sharing some of your guys' story. If you're interested in learning more, feel free. You can shoot us a message on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me. But again, Mike, really appreciate your time today, and appreciate all you and the team over at GIX are doing for the industry. So
absolutely,
keep up the work.
We appreciate your help. Appreciate everything you guys do.
All right, great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you soon.